Second here. Second here. All right. All right. So welcome everyone to this Q&A again. Welcome everyone to this Q&A. One thing, I don't know, it's a common thing that's come up, but just came up again recently, and that is what do you do? What do you do? You have conflict with somebody, you disagree, in Torah. Right? So anyone ever seen the yeshiva in action? Anyone seen anyone learning? Right? They're always arguing. No, I think like this. You think like that. People disagree. Your hands flying all over the place. Very good. The whole point is you want the truth. You want to know what the Torah says, what the commentaries say. So it's not an issue. Very good. You can argue. You can try and prove your point. What happens though? What happens though if somebody says something's problematic? Right? He will say it's more than, as the English would say, more than dodgy. Yeah, heresy. Something that's heresy. Something that is heretical. There's an obligation. Call it out. Right? I don't think there's any question. I don't think there's an issue. I don't think that, there's not an issue of Lashon Hara, right? It's not Lashon Hara over here. Because someone's a heretic, you can call them out. Someone who, what do you call that? Idol worshiper, you can call them out. I don't have to worry, like, oh, you can't speak bad about them. No, 100%. 100% you're allowed to. But, you have to know what they said. Meaning, it can't be just hearsay. You're going to trash someone, which again, I don't know if I have a problem with, but if you're going to trash someone, you got to know the information. You can't exaggerate. Right? You have to have heard it firsthand. Now, what do you do? Right? So in such a case, then if all the criteria is met, there are no issues. You can say whatever I want against it. Now, what happens? What happens? You have a topic, whatever the topic may be, and there's a difference of opinion among rabbinic authorities. I'll give an example. Come Shabbos, person uses a hot plate. They use a hot plate. Now, using a hot plate, I want to heat up, let's say, kugel. If you're Ashkenazic, you put the kugel on top of an upside down pot or an upside down aluminum pan. If you're Sephardic, I can put it directly on the hot plate. Now, what's the difference of opinion here? What's the problem? So for Ashkenazim, if you put kugel or anything else directly on the hot plate, what's the problem? Looks like cooking. looks exactly like you're cooking. And it's going to get very hot. So if I put it on an upside down pot, right, or an upside down pan, or aluminum pan, whatever, even if it gets very hot, anyone looking at that's going to say that's not cooking. It's not cooking. Doesn't matter if it gets very hot. Doesn't look like you're cooking. Right? So if you're Sephardic, you put it directly on the hot plate. Right? Why would they do that? Because they'll say it's not an issue. Why is it not an issue? Because what I put there is already cooked. My kugel is already cooked. Now it's just cold. So anything that's dry, right? Kugel, fish, unless there's a lot of sauce, which you have to be careful. I'm allowed to put on my hot plate to heat up on Shabbos. If you're Sephardic, you put it directly on. If you're Ashkenazic, on top of a pot or a pan or whatever. Now, if it's a liquid soup, the soup is ice cold. I can never reheat it, whether you're Ashkenazic or Sephardic. Why? Because the soup itself, I can't eat chicken soup cold. You can try, it's not, no one's going to eat it cold. So you have to heat it up. Now, if I heat it up, you're going to say, but it's already fully cooked. Very good. You're right, it's already fully cooked. But when I reheat it, it's like a new cooking process. So therefore, according to everybody, I can reheat it because when I cook it, it gets better. So I can't reheat it. Now, back to my disagreements between here, Ashkenazic tradition, Sephardic tradition. Do both have who to rely on for what they do? Yes. Will one do what the other does? No. For Sephardic, it's not an issue. They can put it directly on. If they wanted to, could they put it on an upside-down pot? Yeah, but this will cook quicker. And Ashkenazic will not do the other way. Will not put it directly on. Okay. So there's a difference of opinion. Is there any heresy here? No. There's no heresy here. The difference of opinion. Okay. Now, you could tell me also there are differences of opinion that could make tremendous ramifications. Now, that doesn't make you a heretic. I've seen some of the early commentators very, very sharp, against their comrades. Said, it's so bad. I saw once one of the early commentators, later commentary said, I can't believe this person wrote this. Such a brilliant person. What a waste of paper. I mean, like very strong. What an absolute waste of paper they put it down on. Yeah. But then if they wrote this, they're gonna cause all kinds. They're gonna cause trapists in Israel. They're gonna cause people to eat non-kosher meats if you allow this to go through. Okay, there's serious ramifications. According to one person, it's kosher. According to another person, it's treif. You can't eat it. Now, someone that says it's treif based on their understanding, of what's going on. The fact that they say it's treif, does that make them a heretic? They might be wrong. They could be wrong the way they hold, maybe. Doesn't make them a heretic. Yeah. Does not make them a heretic. If it's a legitimate position. Now, the arguments can get very heated. If you see how the commentaries write, can get very, very heated. But they have the utmost respect for one another. You have the house of Shammai and the house of Hill disagreed in certain things, right? Well, many things. But even when it came to, purity and impurity and this and that, the house of Hill married into the house of Shammai. So even though they disagreed vehemently on certain things, even that, its relevance to marriage, even so, they held the other side was wrong. But they married the women. They married their men. Like, even though they disagreed, they didn't say, oh, you're nothing. You're a postal. You're blemished. We would never, allow, our kids to marry your kids. Now, the problem comes, so that people can understand. There's a difference of opinion. You have your rabbinic authority go to, other people have their rabbinic authorities they go to. Okay, but it can get heated based on whatever the topic is. And there can be serious ramifications. As ones came out a number of years ago. How do you write a Sefer Torah? Sefer Torah takes a long time to write. Right? You need a kulmus, fine feathered thing that you sharpen. You have to know what you're doing, obviously, to know how to do this. Right? Spend a long time learning it. You have to know how to write. You know when you made mistakes and whatever. So someone had a great idea. This person's a big rabbinic scholar. Had a great idea. You take parchment, put the letters down, you spray ink. You spray ink and it comes out just as good as safe. But saves a lot of time. Tremendous amount of time. So there are questions, how can you do that? That's not writing. That's not writing. That's a serious thing. That is a serious thing. I remember when, I heard this in Basin, when I was sitting with my Rabbi, and, the person who wanted to permit these Torah scrolls that were done in this way, not a small person by any stretch, when it comes to Torah learning, not small at all. Rabbi flattened this person like a pancake, like an absolute pancake. And and other big people like, oh, this person can say, you can also say it. I'm like, thank you very much. Yeah. But there's an issue here. If there are serious ramifications, over here, yeah, it can get very heated. According to one person, let's say this woman's permitted. According to the other, going to be mamzeret. That's a pretty serious thing. And a mamzer can only marry someone of the same union, or a convert. That's a pretty serious thing. Or someone comes out and says, okay, this is permissible to eat. I'm going to say it's strafe. They're going to say, oh, you're permitting something that's strafe. There's serious ramifications. Yeah, serious ramifications. Now, based on that, what if it's something that is a major dispute? It's a major dispute among rabbinic authorities that there's no clarity on. Let's say there's no concrete proof either way. But let's say one person has who to rely on in what they say, even if it's not the majority opinion. Does that make them a heretic? Legitimate question. Yeah. If they have who to rely on, even if it's not the majority opinion, okay, we don't necessarily rely on minority opinions unless we have to. Normally we go according to the majority for good, not for bad, right? As it says in Exodus chapter 23, verse 2. You go according to the majority, right? For good or, definitely for good. Sorry, not for bad. So, but if you have something that's not clear, we don't know, if nobody knows for sure. There are different opinions. The end of days is a good example. Nobody knows what's going to be in the end. There are a lot of different opinions. Now, anyone's a former Christian, so we'll make fun of you. Any former Christian, that's their favorite topic. Because if JC was really the Messiah, and he's going to come back, so okay, they have to learn the verses properly, which they don't. And they can't even get it right that he goes back to King David. And the lineage's all messed up. But even without that, let me ask a fundamental question. Yeah, it's an interesting topic. There are verses that contradict each other all over Tanakh. The Rambam says you don't try and figure out the end of days when it's going to be, because according to your calculation, you make the wrong calculation, what's going to happen? You'll say, oh, the Messiah was supposed to come. He didn't come, so I'm not going to keep Torah mitzvahs. You want to learn it? Learn about it? Okay. You can learn about it. No one says you can't learn about it. Probably more important things to delve into. But okay, people coming out of Christianity, I understand. I understand where they're coming from. Very good. Now, let me ask, let me be blunt. There are people who spend a long time learning this, going to the sources and that at the expense of learning what they need to do to convert. Yeah, blessings more important than this. Knowing Kashrus is more important than this. Knowing how to keep Shabbos is more important than this. I can think of 100 things more important than this. But someone's going to get offended and say, but, we're living in the end of days. This is the end of days. Everyone agrees. No rabbinic authority disagrees over you. And we're very close to the Messiah coming. When's he going to come? Good question. If I knew that, I wouldn't even be speaking now. Be world famous. But nobody knows. And whoever knows ain't talking. So the fundamental question is, based on that, does that really matter in everyday life? You're going to say, well, at the end of the days, we're close. Does it matter how it's going to be? People think this way, people think that way. There are a lot of different opinions. I have my own opinion. Very good. So what? May happen that way, may not happen that way. At the end of the day, I got to do what I need to do. I need to get up. I need to pray. I need to keep mitzvahs. Plenty of things more important than this. Okay, now, some people get offended and say, but it's a pretty crucial thing. You're right. It's a crucial thing. It's an important thing. I can tell you, in the ultra-Orthodox world, I've been part of it for 30 years, they hear anybody talking about it. It's not their focus. They're going to say, why not? We're so close. Because there are other more important things to do. Whether Messiah comes this way, that way, the other way, doesn't matter. Yeah, the Gemara at the end of Sanhedrin says, how do you save yourself from the birth pains of the coming of the Messiah? The birth pains of the Messiah. Torah and Chesed. Learn a lot of Torah, do a lot of acts of loving kindness. I once asked Diane Fisher, blessed memory. Rabbi Yaakov Fisher, blessed memory. One of the Torah giants of the last generation. At the end of the day, I asked them, so how are we supposed to save ourselves from the Chevlei Mashiach? So he said, Gemara says, Torah and Chesed. Torah and acts of loving kindness. So I asked him, and I said, anything else besides that? He's like, what? You think I know better than Gemara? You think I know better than the rabbis? What do you think? What do you think? I'm a Navi? I'm a prophet? He goes, that's it. That's what the Gemara said. Okay? So when it comes to other things that are more esoteric, now, again, you can't be a heretic over here. Person can't say, you talk about heaven and hell. Yeah? The Jewish concept. Even though the Christians totally demolished it and others totally demolished it. It's a Jewish concept. There's punishment in the next world. Right? One of the 13 principles of faith. That a person, God's going to judge. There's right and wrong. There's going to be payback. Now, how does that payback work exactly? How does that work? I'll tell you what my Rabbi said. It was the Torah giant of the generation. The Torah giant of the generation, nothing to talk about. Says, boy, for Rabbi, Arav, go over Moshe Star Moshe, should be well. And he says, I've never met anyone been in that world and come back. Yeah, so what does that mean? So you can tell me this book says like this, and Kabbalah says like this, and someone else says like that. Okay, do we really know 100%? We know the soul is going to get punished for sins that it does. That we know. Yeah, you might get punished in this world. You might get punished in the next world. You might get punished in both worlds. So this book, Reishis Chochmah, talks about different levels of hell and what a person can go through. Okay. No one says it's not a good book. No one says the author's a heretic. His opinion, according to Kabbalah. A lot of it according to Kabbalah. Okay. So we understand there are different levels. Good. Now, can you deny that that exists? No. Can you say that Gehenna doesn't exist? No. That you can't say. How it works? What a person is going to go through? Okay, so you tell me, Rage Talkman says like this. I got the Zohar maybe says like that or different. Right? When, the Vilna Gaon brings down, when a person's going to fry, you talk about the fire, it's going to fry the soul, literally. He takes it literally. Now, I'll ask you a question. I'm not coming here to disagree. What does that mean? See, this is the problem. What does that mean? Does that mean, let's ask differently. Let's ask differently. A person's a soul. They have no body. Can fire attack a soul? Can fire have an effect? What's the answer? Yes. Can have an effect. 100% it can have an effect. So I'll ask you the $1.5 million, $3 million question. How does fire affect the soul? You want to tell me fire burns? Here I got all my tissues here. Yeah, I light a match, this whole thing's gonna go up. Got a cardboard box there, whole thing will go up. Right? Or even better. Not that I recommend it. Yeah? Take fire, put your hand over. What's it gonna do? You're gonna burn it. 100% you're gonna burn it. The Beis HaLevi, the father of Chaim Brisker of blessed memory, every day would put his hand over fire to feel what the fire of hell is going to be. By the end of his life, his hands were black, dark brown, black. Did it every day, not on Shabbos or a festival, to feel what the pain's going to be. So, no one's going to misquote me here. I'm not saying there's no fire there. The question is, how does the fire penetrate a soul? That's a good question. Yeah. So the Vilna Gaon says you talk literally, you're talking fire in Gehenna. That's literal. He's saying it's literal. Yeah. And you got different places in the Gemara to speak about it. Got white fire, black fire, this, that. Okay. This is Kabbalah here. This is Kabbalah 101 and 101A. Something I'm not steeped in at all. So you take what I say with a grain of salt. The question is, how does that work? How does it work that a soul can feel the pain of fire? I'm not saying it can't, right? Then everyone's going to accuse me of being a heretic. I'm not saying it can happen, right? The question is, how does that work? That's the question. So I'll tell you like this. See if I find it here. Of course, when you're looking for something, you never find it. You never find it straight away. Let's see. 1 second. One second here. Let's see if I find it here. I want people to understand, get the feel for what's going on here. One second. No. One second. So I want to show, if I find it, how ludicrous, this whole thing is. if somebody, if somebody denies it, okay, that's one thing. If someone denies it and says it doesn't exist, they're heretic. They're heretic. Yeah, that's clear. How it works, that's a legitimate question. Doesn't make you a heretic. Right? So someone here mentions, okay, the fire of Gehenna exists, it's incomprehensible. Thank you very much. Right? It's incomprehensible. The body dies, right? The body perishes, so it becomes subject to affliction. We don't understand. We don't understand. Yeah. One second. Yeah. So in other words, the body dies, body perishes. So the question is, how does that body feel the pain? How does the soul feel the pain? Right? So it's brought down. Fire first level, 6 times greater than fire in our world. Yeah. This world is not a physical fire. Something's outside of physical fire. Yeah, there's dark fire. Like the darkness, let's say ninth plague of Egypt. There's a much lower level, so to speak. Yeah, what does all that mean? Right? Like the person says, there are different types of fires. That's what it says in Rashis Chachma, very good, right? What the Rashis Chachma brings down. Even a fire can eat another fire. All things our minds can't fathom. Thank you very much. Our minds cannot fathom. That is the point here. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. We're not saying it doesn't exist. So you got dark fire, you got white fire, you got, there's a 7th level and this and that. It's like a black hole in astronomy. Okay. Once the person goes there, he can't get out. Vilna Gaon says, okay. Maybe it's not literal. Maybe you don't say, it's not forever, but maybe a very, very long time. Okay. Yeah. Let me ask another fundamental question. All right. See a lot of questions I'll deal with in a second. The fundamental question is, you can't say Gehenna doesn't exist. Right? That you can't say. Right? You got what God does in heaven, you got, reward and punishment. Person's gonna go there. Okay, even though my Rabbi says never met anyone been there and come back, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. He's not saying it doesn't exist. Yeah. But there are a lot of things about it we don't understand. We just said it's incomprehensible. Because if the body perishes, the soul becomes subject to affliction. Does that make any literal sense? You're a soul, you're not a body. So how does fire affect that? So my answer is I don't know. I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm saying we don't know. Some people can explain it different ways, flowery language, philosophical language, but I want to ask, just like by the end of days, this is a good scare tactic, I would agree. A person gets to a certain level, the 7th level of health, may never get out. Or maybe almost impossible to get out. You might be there a very, very long time. Okay. It's a good scare tactic. That I would agree. Can't say it doesn't exist. That's heresy. That for sure is heresy. But to say you really think the fire burns, how can the fire burn the soul? That's a good question. You're not denying the fact that, that there's fire there. That you're not denying. Right? If you do deny, that's a problem. Gemara talks about it. Other sources talk about it. Yeah, so you can't deny that. Now, can you question how it works? Yes. We don't know how it works. But I want to even ask more basic. The fact that the Rashis Chachma says it, there are different levels. Okay. You read the book Derech Hashem, he goes through, spiritual forces, how they work. As I tell people, it's a good thing to know, good thing to go through, and that's it. You move on. It's above us. It's all Kabbalah here. It's above us. If a person's really steeped in it, they know what they're doing, this and that, good. I don't have an issue with that. But you got people who don't know nothing. They don't know their nose from the elbow. They can't even read the alphabet or know which letter is what. And they're hearing this stuff. For what reason? For what reason? There are so many other things to learn. In the bigger scheme of things, if I would think, for a JIT, a Jew in training, or a Noahide, if I would have picked the 10 most important things that they should learn, yeah, or that they should have in their mind, this is number 250,225. That's where it is on the list. Should a person know there's reward and punishment? Yes. One of the 13 principles of faith. Yes, they should know. No question about it. More than that, it matters what level. You're never going to get out of Gehenna. That's going to help you. It's a good scare tactic. I agree. Very good scare tactic. And the fire, the first level of Gehenna is 60 times greater than the fire in our world. Imagine if that can affect the soul, what it does. I'm not saying it can't. I said, imagine if it affects the soul, what the pain the soul is going to go through. How that works, can't answer. Above my pay grade. Way above my pay grade. Yeah? Does this really matter? In the bigger scheme of things, does it matter? The end of days, how it's going to work out, this and that. Person going to waste time thinking about it? Better learn how to read Hebrew. Better learn how to pronounce blessings. Better learn how to pray, for goodness sakes, and waste your time on this. You have to have fear of heaven. Everyone agrees. Fear of, you also have to have, you also have to love God. Fear of heaven does not necessarily lead to love of God. Fear of heaven is a good deterrent. Very good deterrent. Yeah? But that doesn't necessarily lead you to love of God. Love of God will lead you to fear of God. So I tell people, okay, you know this, very good. You heard about it? Okay, move on. It's like another piece of information, you put under your belt. You move on. Because the reality is, this has no relevance in your life. None. It's a good thing to picture in your mind. Maybe it's going to stop you from sinning. Okay. Maybe. I don't know if I have an issue with that. Very good. You have to have fear of heaven. If this helps you have fear in heaven, okay. Otherwise, irrelevant. Totally irrelevant to life. I see people all the time get caught up in it. So simply to deny there's a heaven and hell, that's a problem. That's a serious problem. That's heresy. That people have to be called out on. I agree. Can't have that. Can't have people saying that, there's no such thing. But people could, if people could ask, how could it be? The Vilna Gaon says, how, if it's literal, and it's, literal fire, how does literal fire affect the soul? It's a good question. Nobody's saying it doesn't. I mean, maybe someone is, but at the end of the day, it's a good question. How does that work? That doesn't make them a heretic. What makes them a heretic is when they deny it. When they deny there's such a thing. Oh, you really think God's going to get me and you're going to pay a serious price and this and that? Yeah, you are. How that manifests itself, what is that pain? How is that possible? Some people say one aspect of what Gehenna is. Imagine you see life flash before your eyes. You know what absolute truth is. You can't deny you had your hand in the cookie jar. Embarrassment. That's total embarrassment. Because you're in front of the Creator having to answer for what you've done. So you're in front of the Creator right now. You understand what the truth is. Imagine that soul. That soul knows what the truth is, and now they see their life flash before their eyes. Imagine that embarrassment. That's one aspect of what Gehenna is. One aspect. I'm not saying it's the whole thing. One aspect. but that soul feels the pain. That, that could be more pain than if you stick, God forbid, you stick a needle in your eye. Not recommending it. That's going to be pretty painful. Yeah. Anyone, think about it like this. Person was caught doing something. They got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. And now there's unbelievable embarrassment for what they've done. Multiply that infinity, what it's going to be in the next world. Is that all Gehenna is? No. Definitely not. It's an aspect. Right? Now, could that stop someone from sinning? Could be. They'll think twice about what they're going to do because they're going to have to answer for everything they do. Just like we're recording here. God's recording everything. Get to angels, follow you everywhere. They're going to give over all the testimony. That's an important thing to know. Right? That's a deterrent. The different levels of what's going to be and this and that, what difference does it make? What difference does it make? Come on, tell me those people gives them more fear. Okay. Yeah. Personally, take my opinion for what it's worth, I don't think it does anything. I don't think it does anything. Yeah, it's a good scare tactic. I agree. And more than that, I wouldn't waste 1 second thinking about it. You got to think about my actions matter. You got to think about what's going to be. I'm going to have to answer for my actions. Yeah, that you got to think about. But the different aspects, I'll never get out of Gehenna if I do this or I do that, do the other thing. We're not holding there. Had someone tell me, it does a great job is, a certain level I never get out of. That's one of my rabbis very much steeped in Kabbalah. Said, yeah, it's very hard. Someone who does a great job is according to Kabbalah, getting out of a certain level of Gehenna if they didn't properly repent, that's very hard. Not impossible. Very, very hard, according to Kabbalah. What his answer to me was? Who's holding according to Kabbalah? Who's holding according to Kabbalah? And that'll paralyze someone. Well, if I can't get out of 6th, 5th, 3rd, whatever level of Gehenna it is, if I can ever get out of it, why should I keep Shabbos now? Why should I bother? I'm doomed. No, there's repentance. You need a lot of repentance according to Kabbalah. Very good. You're not holding according to Kabbalah. Most people are not holding according to Kabbalah. Forget about it. So a person like that came to me, was paralyzed. Jew was paralyzed. And that was the question. I understand what Shabbos is. I did a great Shabbos. I'll never get out, blah, 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 blah. So I said, forget about it, move on. You didn't do it on purpose. No, it's really on purpose. This, that. It wasn't. They were under onus. They were forced to do something. They couldn't stand up to it. They were forced. That's not doing it on purpose. That's not knowing better than that. Yeah, they're afraid they're going to smacked upside the head. Literally, that's a legitimate concern. Say they did it on purpose? That's onus. That's onus. But say they did it on purpose, you're killing someone. You're massacring them. That level of Gehenna, when they can never get out, they're toast. So, someone told me that. And you say you can never get out, all the repentance of the world is never going to help you. That's it, so. Eat, drink, and marry, lest tomorrow I die. Be out. Tell you straight out. There's no way to get repentance. There's no point. What would be their point for? You got to fry anyway. What would be the point? Because they know you keep other mitzvahs, you get other merit. Maybe that'll help. Most people will make the same conclusion this person made. There's no hope. If there's no hope, then why should I bother keeping Shabbos? It's a good question. So knowing all this other information doesn't help, does it? It's good. Again, good scare tactic, yeah. People should know the extent of what they're doing and what the repercussions are. Yeah, to a certain extent. Move on. It's not the most important thing in life. Fear, you need. No one disagrees. Right? Rachel Chochmah says, fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. Right? Brings out from King Solomon. Fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. You need fear. You also need love. Fear doesn't necessarily lead to love. It's a good deterrent. I would agree. And you have to know there are repercussions for our actions. They could be very severe. Very, very severe. To the extent where someone, decides they want to come back and be a rock or who knows what, his reincarnated soul. Instead of suffering more up there. Some people come back, some people don't, whatever it is. So good. These things are interesting to understand. Relevance in your life? No relevance. Very little relevance. Yeah, I'll take questions. Someone said Daniel chapter 12, verse 9, and then Raj explained the idea of trying to figure out the time of Mashiach. Okay. But I'm saying, the Rambam says no. Others disagree. Right? It could be, listen, if I knew more Kabbalah, there are definite places where the Messiah could have come. Certain people could have been the Messiah, but either they blew it or we blew it, right? Or the Jewish people blew it. So it didn't happen. Yeah. So the Rambam, I can tell you right now, disagrees with Rashi. He disagrees with Rashi there. That's what he disagrees with. Yeah. A number of times, Rashi, the Rambam, they disagree. Okay. I'm telling you why the Rambam disagrees. That's what the Rambam says. Don't try and figure it out. Because you try and figure it out, you make a mistake, you become a heretic. You can say, what about Rashi? What about him? Rambam disagrees. Is the Rambam on the level to disagree with Rashi? Yes. Is the Ramban on the level to disagree with the Rambam and Rashi? Yes. So we can disagree. So he has a different opinion. Okay. I don't have an issue with that. That's fine. Someone here mentions, very good. Focus on the afterlife robs us of living this life. Who focused on the afterlife in this world? Afterlife's not even mentioned in the Torah directly. Mentioned indirectly, but not directly. Who speaks about the afterlife in this world? Muslims. Right? They're too busy trying to kill Jews and whoever else, thinking if they die, they're gonna get, they're gonna get 70 virgins. Right? And if a woman does, I don't know what she gets. I asked my Rabbi this question once when women started blowing themselves up also here. So, his son like smacked me. He's like, leave me alone. I'm like, yeah, leave me alone. Yeah. But you see, talking about the next world and this and that make you crazy. Totally delude you. Someone asked, one second. Let me just see here. Oops. All right, I'll answer this one first. Somebody asked, I think that's an out-of-body experience. People are clinically dead. I think, yeah, it's happened to a lot of people, Jews and non-Jews. But they all say the same thing, right? What's the first thing? They feel their soul hover above the body. They see great light. They see their life flash before their eyes. They all say the same thing, right? That's all brought in the Zohar. Yeah, so it's very hard to say that they're not telling the truth. Now, some will say, well, I saw JC, I saw this one, and, okay, but essentially the basics are saying the same, saying exactly the same. So, someone wants to know, do I think it's real? Yeah, it's real. I definitely believe it's real. Because you got people in all walks of life, Jews, non-Jews, anywhere in between. Men, women, children. They all see the same thing. Now, they all experience similar things. The basic things, they all agree. Right? And it's ironic that they're saying exactly what the Zohar says. So is it real? I definitely think it's real. I don't think there's too many questions about it. I mean, you're going to get all these people making up the same thing? Hard to say. You want to tell me they're all a bunch of crackpots? I don't think so. Yeah. So you want to know, do I think it's a real thing? Yeah, I definitely think it's a real thing. Some people won't, some of them, they won't say what they saw. Too painful what they saw. One person whatever, as a teenage kid. He said, I'm not going to say what I saw, but I heard these souls screaming and suffering and this and that. So yeah, do I think it's real? Definitely think it's real. Somebody asks, what conditions the wicked person labeled Yimach Shemo B'Zichron? Oh, Shem Yerushalayim Yirka. Yeah. Yimach Shemo B'Zichron means may his name be blotted out. So it has to be really bad. Really bad. Yeah. I'm not going to say, Hitler you can say that about. Right? Stalin you could say that about. Gaddafi, any of these, really evil people. Yeah. Probably say it about, rapists, pedophiles, put them in the category. Well, that had to be really bad. Someone who does something just based on desire. Yeah, I wouldn't use that terminology. Right? The name Shem, Yerushalayim, Yirkov, that the wicked should rot, basically. It's a similar thing. Similar thing is saying that the name should be blotted out. Right? So what's someone who causes other people to go astray? You could say that on. There are plenty of wicked people out there. Someone who desecrates Shabbos, a Jew who desecrates Shabbos, I wouldn't call them wicked. They are wicked to God, but they're only doing things based on desire. Right? Could you say it on Israeli government officials? Probably. They part of the Erev, the mixed multitude? Yeah. I don't think there's any question. Done a lot of things against Judaism, against Orthodox Jews, 100%. 100%. So, see my Rabbi, say things about Ben Gurion. He said that language, right? He said Shem Rishayim Yirkov. So yeah, and anyone basically is a kofar, denies God, denies Torah, right? That you can say on them. So you got plenty of Jews you can say that on. The problem is most Jews are not that way. Meaning they're doing things based on desire. That's it. They're not doing it based on the fact they want to go against God, per se. They don't know. They've never been taught. Right? So I did ask my Rebbe this question. Asked him this question on Tinok Shanishba, someone who grew up never knowing anything. Right? They grew up as a potato farmer in Idaho, right? No offense, anyone's a potato farmer grew up in Idaho. Like, they never learned anything. So I once asked him, if I remember correctly, I once asked him, could you say, Yimach Shemo B'Zichron, may the name be blotted out on someone who never learned anything? He said no. Even though it's rebelling against God, they're doing it because of desire. So that you can't say. But if they're causing people to go astray, whether they know anything or not, doesn't really matter. Yeah. So potentially you could say that on them, Reform rabbis, conservative rabbis, or anyone of the like, doesn't matter what they know or they don't know, they're causing people to go astray. Causing people to go astray to lose a portion of the world to come. Yeah, someone that, their main thing in life was to cause people to go off, cause Orthodox Jews to go off. When that person died, his brother happens to be a big rabbinic scholar. And Rabbi Yoshev, Torah giant, the last generation, said on his brother, you don't have to sit shit before. You don't have to mourn for him. Because he was causing people to go astray in a serious way. Or that was his goal. So people like that, you could say, Shem Yerushalayim Yirkov, or Yimach Shemo B'Zichron. Someone like that's causing serious damage. But your average person desecrates Shabbos, you wouldn't say that. Why wouldn't you say it? Because they don't know any better. They never learned. But you got people in the Israeli government, their goal is to uproot Torah. That's their goal. That's how the state was founded. Not to make it a Jewish state, just a state of Jews. Had nothing to do with Judaism. A little bit, maybe. But not too much. They didn't want the old Judaism of Europe. They wanted to be new Israelis, quote unquote. Right? So therefore, yeah, they should rot wherever they are. because they've taken tens of thousands of Jews away from Torah. And the Yemenites that were here, they totally uprooted them. They put them in secular places, totally destroyed the whole community. That's evil. You're gonna say they had an agenda, whatever. That's part of the Erev. That's part of the mixed multitude. But their whole goal, you read the book, The Jewish State by Theodore Herzl, which I don't recommend, but you want to read it in the bathroom, place where it belongs. Yeah, he wanted a state of Jews, not a Jewish state. And he would have been happy with Uganda or Argentina or anywhere else. He just got lucky. He got Israel, but nothing to do with Judaism. And if it wouldn't be for Orthodox Jews, this place would look no different than any other place. Somebody asked, someone will die right. Yes. The people say that, marrying all these women because it's hard to go astray. Yeah, but he died righteous. Definitely died righteous. Should Jews still study Acher's Torah? Because he went off the derech. Acher meaning Elisha ben Abuya. He was the Rabbi of Rabbi Meir. And you see that even when he went off, they asked Rabbi Meir, how could you learn from him? So he said, it's like eating a nut. You peel off or fruit. You peel off you get rid of the pit, you eat the fruit. You take the good that he said, not the bad. And remember, he's part of the Sanhedrin. So there are quotes the Talmud says, of what he said. But for the most part, we don't listen to him. We don't listen to him because he went off. Right? So anybody, we'll just say in general, anyone who kept Torah mitzvahs, maybe been, a great Talmudic genius or whatever, and then they went off, you don't read their stuff. Right? You throw their stuff in the garbage. Doesn't matter how good it is. Throw it in the garbage because they're cracked. Right? You can't learn their stuff. Right? Rabbi Meir didn't hold that way. Rabbi Meir held you can take the good and you throw out the bad. Most people today would say you throw the whole thing out. Because you won't be able to distinguish the good. You give the person more credit than they have, you have more respect for them, and the fact is they went off. So everyone today will tell you no. Right? And we see that, there are people that have done horrific things. They might have written like a lot of good books. You throw the books in the garbage. That's what, the rabbi said. Throw them in the garbage. Because the person's cracked. Doesn't matter how good the books might have been. Does not matter. The fact that other things came out, or what somebody did, you throw the whole thing out. That's what we would say. Right? So okay. If you're on the level of Rabbi Meir, which nobody is, and you can distinguish between the good and the bad, right, and throw out the bad and still take what he said that was good, okay, we're not holding there, you throw the whole thing out. Even though he was a Tana, even though he was one of the Sanhedrin. Yeah, one of the Sanhedrin, you didn't throw everything out. Somebody mentioned, what do you call it, out-of-body experience. Yeah, he was in the story of Rabbi Lo. Yeah, he's got a good story. He's got a good story. So yeah, these things are real. That definitely real. The Rambam himself, even Ezra in his commentary. I don't know what your reference is to. Calling him a fool. Listen, if you knew how to learn, you'd see, what commentaries say one against the other. Sometimes the language is very sharp. So you can have a commentary say, the Rambam said this or whatever, like the Ravid, a lot of times ask questions of the Rambam. And a lot of times they'll say, Areza Meshubish. It's all mixed up. It's all jumbled. Yeah. Doesn't go as far to say he's a fool. But sometimes you have strong language where a person will say, or, a rabbi will say, this person wrote this for nothing. Literally, this person wrote it for free. Meaning, they shouldn't have written it. The waste of time that they wrote it because they missed the boat on this, that, and the other thing. That's not so flattering. Yeah. But calling someone just a fool for the sake of calling them a fool, that's a different issue. That's a different issue. Someone asked, what's Rav Sternberg's opinion wearing a kisui rosh? Are wigs allowed for Jewish women? Yes. Wigs are allowed for Jewish women as long as they're not too long, as long as they're not immodest. What are they produce of Vodazar temples in India? That's a problem. That's still a problem according to him. According to others also, because they use they use that hair for idolatry. So there are some people that can be relied on that, the hair they get's not from India. Others would say all the hair comes from India. Goes through Europe and they buy it from Europe. What do his kids do? They get from an organization where women lose their hair or cut off their hair because of what do you call it? They have cancer or whatever. So a lot of his kids and grandkids, that's where they get their wigs from. But today's the problem. It hasn't been fixed. He wanted to set up a whole group, I don't know, to try and fix the problem. And it's still unclear to me that anything's been done about it, which I don't think it has. But that's it's been a problem for a long time. Right? So if a woman's going to wear a wig, which again, people make the mistake just because he's part of the Eidah Charedis, right? The most powerful rabbinical court here in Israel, even though many of them hold you shouldn't wear wigs, he doesn't hold that. He says you can wear a wig as long as it's not too long, as long as it's modest. The problem is that today it's pretty hard to find human hair that does not come from India, that which is idolatrous. That's a problem. That for sure is a problem. So that problem I don't think has been cleared up. So what so what do women do? I guess there are people that you could rely on. You got to check them out where they get their hair from. But he holds he's not the only one. Plenty of others hold also. Any hair, you got to get it checked twice, 3 times, 4 times. But he hasn't come up with a solution. The problem is still the problem. It still exists. He said it exists 20 years ago, more. So I once asked him when he came out against about 15 years ago, 20 years ago. So I asked him, anything changed? He said, no, it's still been a problem. The question is, where do people get human hair from? Yeah, somebody's from Korea, but it's not the same. Not the same type of hair. I mean, not my area of expertise here in hair, but in general, it's a big problem. So wherever a woman is going to get a wig from, you have to find out where they're getting the hair from. And people will say, rabbinic authorities will say it's impossible to get hair today that's not from India. So how do people wear wigs today? Good question. Very, very good question. Let me see other questions here. Out-of-body experience I answered. Yeah, any other questions? Again, I just want to say that it is important. It is important to know there's reward and punishment. It is important to know how much a person could suffer. Yeah. But I wouldn't spend all day worrying about it. I wouldn't spend more than half a minute worrying about it. I would say you got to work on yourself. You got to understand there are repercussions for your actions. But getting steeped in all this stuff, not worth it. Not worth it, regardless of what other people say. Right? I might ruffle some feathers because there are people out there speak about this a lot. Okay. I can find plenty of other topics to talk about. The fact that a person knows about it, I spent weeks going through demons and speaking about that and other things, about that. Okay. But that's the topic came up. That's where it came up in the book of Leviticus, chapter 17. Very good. Otherwise, Rabbi speaking about demons, but about reincarnation. That's an interesting topic. How a person could come back or whatever, but that's all based on the fact of the evil inclination and how it works, and how a person could come back and reincarnation, how a person gets judged. Very good. Is that going to be every single thing? And every last word is going to come out of my mouth is going to be exactly that? No. Some things, again, it's an interesting topic. Very interesting topic. So you take out of it what a person could go through in this world. Or come back or whatever the case is. Could be. Could be. What to think about. and what the repercussions are. Okay. Would I say every last second that I should speak about it? No. Can we label Nebuchadnezzar as Yamach Shemo? Yeah. Evil king, 100%. 100%. And any other wicked king. Yeah. It could be, Jews also. Depending on, how wicked they are. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, then all the questions are going to sign out. They do this every Tuesday and Thursday, 10 o'clock Eastern time, 5 o'clock Israel time. Anyone has any questions, feel free. You can find me on Facebook, Michael Chaim Kaufman, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, orthodoxconversion.com. Or you can send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RBBICHAIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com, whichever good. Beginning of the day, middle of the day, or almost end of the day. And everyone have a great